Reborn as a noble with overwhelming debt in a massive space empire, Liam gives the universe the middle finger and vows to become the ultimate evil lord. Determined to use his powers for villainy, he starts wreaking havoc by exploiting his powers, but no matter how evil his actions, they somehow always end up benefiting the very empire he's trying to destroy. Villainy has never been so frustrating. This story begins with Liam, a pathetic middle-aged loser who lives a boring life with his ungrateful wife and child, who only know how to take but never give back. Still, as a responsible husband and father, Liam takes days off from work whenever he can to spend time with his family. He sacrifices his own dreams and passions for his daughter, Kanami, and buys her everything she desires, whether he can afford it or not. One day, Liam's boss calls him to his office and scolds him for something he didn't even do, but he tolerates the toxic environment of his company, his boss, and his colleagues to provide for his family. His love for them is what gives him the strength to keep going, but everything falls apart when he comes across his wife, Mika, having lunch with an unknown man and giggling when she is supposed to be with their daughter, Kanami, at the sports club. Leah doesn't confront Mika at the moment and returns home later, where he questions her about her day at the sports club. As she and Kanami both vouch for one another, Liam forgets about it, thinking that maybe he shouldn't suspect his wife, who has been so loyal to him. He continues working restlessly, but the tiniest of doubts still remains in his heart, and so to get rid of this unsettling feeling, he visits the place where he found Mika with another man the next day and once again finds her there, this time with Kanami as well. He eavesdrops on her conversation with a man over the phone when Kanami mentions that they are here to meet with her papa. This confuses Liam because Kanami only refers to him as her papa, so he keeps following them until Mika's lover enters the scene, and both the mother and daughter act like he is the man of their house. Unable to accept reality, Liam convinces himself that Mika isn't cheating on him and keeps working his ass off to feed his family. He gets a call from Mika, who informs him of the sudden bad news that Kanami has been in an accident. So he rushes to the hospital and learns that his daughter is currently undergoing surgery. The doctor arrives, informing Liam and Mika that Kanami is in grave need of a blood transfusion, and as it just so happens, her blood type is O positive. Only Mika's blood type matches Kanami's, so she enters the operating theater while Liam becomes more and more doubtful outside. His blood type is AB positive, and scientifically, it's impossible for a father with AB positive blood to have a child with O type blood. This shocking revelation makes it clear to Liam that Kanami is not his child, and unable to accept it, he confronts Mika after Kanami's recovery, imploring her to tell him the truth. However, instead of acting guilty, Mika gaslights him, saying that he never cares for the family and never spends any time with them at all. He tries to make his point, saying he only works to provide food and shelter for them. But Mika stays firm on her stance, saying his job isn't any good and isn't enough to provide Kanami with a quality education. She reminds him how he promised before their marriage that he would always keep her happy. But he has failed to keep that promise for the past 10 years. According to her, all this time, she has felt like a single mother since Liam was never there for them. And that is why she doesn't consider Liam to be a part of her family any longer. Honestly, all that gaslighting instead of answering who Kanami's father is or whether she has been cheating on him. Anyway, Mika has had enough. If she stays here any longer, she might actually start to feel guilty, so she gets up, deciding to abandon this house forever with Kanami and stay with her new papa instead. Liam begs Mika to be rational and requests Kanami to take his side, but even the little devil betrays him, stating that she likes her other papa more than him. With his family falling apart, Liam's work life also takes a turn for the worst. His boss accuses him of embezzling the company's money to an unidentified bank account, making him realize that when he rushed off to the hospital a few days ago, he accidentally left his PC open, and someone might have transferred the money from his PC. But having no proof of that, Liam faces the punishment and not only gets fired, but is forced to work as a manual laborer to repay the company's lost funds. Mika uses Liam's poor financial condition as an excuse to file for divorce, not only getting full custody of Kemami, but also demanding child support from him, not knowing how he is ever going to pay his debt. Liam tries escaping reality by watching his favorite robot mecha anime with one of his old friends, but his broken heart doesn't allow him to do that either. He can only hope that things will get better if he works hard, and that he will get to see his daughter again, even though she prefers the other dad. He believes all his hardships and sacrifices will be rewarded by God. But God has other plans, as he blesses him with a disease that slowly starts killing him internally. With no insurance and no money to afford treatment, Liam finally gives up when a blinding light appears before his eyes, showing him that it was none other than his own boss who embezzled the company's money from his PC. Not only that, but the person Mika has been having an affair with is also his boss. The scene shows both Mika and Liam's boss celebrating Liam's misery, which rips him apart from the inside, making him plead to the gods to let this nightmare be just a bad dream. At that moment, a mysterious figure appears before Liam, stating that everything he was shown is the truth. Liam screams in agony, wanting revenge on those who have wronged him, which only makes the mysterious figure more entertained. The figure states that he has taken an interest in Liam because Liam is a good man, but Liam no longer cares about being good, as everyone has screwed him over for having that trait. Assuming that this figure is some kind of deity, Liam requests him to bestow upon him a second life where he can do whatever he wants. This time, he wants to become the ultimate villain who will walk all over everyone else. The mysterious deity accepts and gives him the option to choose from 5 different worlds to be reincarnated into. Among fantasy, supernatural, period drama, Wild West, Jurassic Era, and finally, robots and space battleships. Liam chooses the space battleships one, as it reminds him of the days he spent with his old friends discussing these types of anime. The deity accepts and tells Liam that this is a sci-fi fantasy world where both science and magic coexist, and that he will be born into the house of a count who rules a planet. As Liam signs the contract, the deity sends his vengeful soul to become the ruler of robots and the ultimate space bully. As Liam opens his eyes, he finds himself inside the body of a young child lying on the terrace of what looks like a mansion that hasn't been touched in decades. Just as the mysterious deity said before, Liam is now on a planet named Hydra, ruled by his father Count Banfield. The residential estates are completely surrounded by plants, including Liam's own home, which looks like a dystopian Christmas tree-themed house. As Liam heads inside, his mom surprises him, wishing him a happy 5th birthday. Using transportation magic, she takes him to another room to show him the royal cake prepared for his birthday and gives him his present. He opens the large gift box, only to find a small device hanging inside, which his mom claims is an order sheet for an AI-made robot. Liam doesn't understand much and presses a random button on the gadget, causing a character customization screen to pop up. To summarize, he now has to choose the appearance of the maid. As he goes through the long selection process, his mom explains that after picking a model, he will have to send the order sheet to the manufacturer to receive his unique AI-made robot. She casually mentions that he must also select the maid's private parts. Although this is extremely inappropriate, she acts as if it is completely normal. Liam's dad enters as well and, as a birthday present, makes Liam the new head of the family with the additional condition that both parents get to live the rest of their lives on the Imperial home planet. He assures Liam that not having them around will give him more autonomy. They also mention that Liam must provide them with a monthly allowance so they can live in peace. Liam agrees to all of these terms, prompting his father to call the Grand Chamberlain with the official paperwork, handing the house over to his 5-year-old child. Liam doesn't question anything and, as he signs the contract, his father mentions one last thing. From now on, his maid will be the one taking care of him. With that settled, both of his parents run off as if they just got rid of a huge burden, leaving Liam questioning what just happened. He gained power, influence, and wealth, everything a man could ask for in the blink of an eye. But at the same time, he feels like he lost everything as well. However, since Liam retains all of his past life's memories, he is an adult inside and doesn't need new parents to babysit him. His goal now is to become an evil lord and exploit everything around him. He is grateful to the deity for granting him a second life and thanks him wholeheartedly. But what he doesn't know is that the reason his original life was in ruins is all thanks to the same deity, who manipulated both his wife Mika and his boss purely for entertainment. With Liam's show coming to an end, the deity decides it's time for Mika and Liam's boss to suffer as well. With a simple snap of his fingers, Liam's boss gets arrested by the police for embezzling company funds. With him gone, Miss Gold Digger loses her gold, marking the beginning of her downfall. This kicks off another entertaining show for the evil deity. The deity reveals that he feeds on resentment, anger, hatred, and despair, basically all negative emotions. That is why he sent Liam to that isekai world, craving more entertainment from him, as the deity opens another dimensional door to leave after sending Liam's soul away. A divine cat sneakily enters the room before leaving just as the door is about to close. Not sure what just happened, but the cat must have some importance to the story. Back in Liam's parallel universe, a space war has broken out because this bald nincompoop wanted to show off his Go's pirate crew's firepower. His mecha robots are about to overpower the enemies when suddenly, Christiana, the first princess knight of the Holy Kingdom of Lebe, enters the arena and slices down all of the enemy troops like cutting through butter. She dodges the frontal assault with ease, and with her leading the charge, it doesn't take long for the enemy frontline to be completely wiped out. The pirates start to retreat, realizing that they cannot win this war, but the princess doesn't allow them to escape, as she wishes to make each and every one of them regret messing with her kingdom. Meanwhile, Liam receives his personalized AI-made robot, delivered inside a large doll package. With a simple touch, the package transforms into a generic-looking maid who introduces herself as Amagi. Wasting no time, Liam immediately starts filling up his new maid's melons, brushing it off as a thorough inspection of the goods when questioned by his chamberlain. Wanting to continue his inspection session in private, he takes Amagi to his playroom and does absolutely nothing out of the ordinary. Trust me on that. Later that night, Liam puts Amagi to work, making her do everything for him, preparing tea, giving massages, and even bathing him. At this rate, it will not be long before this fit kid turns into a KFC uncle. The Grand Chamberlain, still stressed about what might have happened in the playroom earlier, watches Liam with growing concern. Noticing his unease, Liam reassures him, saying there is nothing to worry about despite his 5-year-old body. His mind is that of a 36-year-old adult. Hearing this, Amagi corrects him, explaining that in this empire, adulthood is officially recognized at age 50, though most people do not consider themselves true adults until they have crossed the 100-year mark. She also mentions that humans here live for 500 to 600 years, which suddenly makes sense to Liam, considering how much this world prioritizes environmental conservation. Everything around them is green and well preserved. Seeing Liam getting a little too comfortable with the AI, the Grand Chamberlain steps in, warning him that the Empire despises artificial intelligence. If a noble like Liam is seen getting too close to an AI doll, rumors will spread. Curious, Liam asks him to elaborate, so the Chamberlain explains how humanity was nearly wiped out by AI in the past. Liam, confused, asks if they had not been programmed with the 3 fundamental laws of robotics. However, the Chamberlain looks at him blankly, completely unaware of what Liam means. At that moment, Liam realizes exactly where things went wrong in this world. The old man continues his story, explaining that during those dark times, a group of brave warriors fought against the rogue AI and miraculously won, eventually founding the Empire. This raises a major question if the Empire despises AI so much. Why would Liam's mother gift him something that could bring trouble? The Grand Chamberlain hesitates at first, but since Liam is now the new master, he finally speaks the harsh truth. Liam's parents have abandoned him and fled, leaving him to inherit the massive debts that have weighed on their family for generations. Apparently, Liam's great-grandfather was a wise ruler, but he failed to raise his heir properly. That heir squandered everything, and since then, the family's debts have only continued to pile up. The Chamberlain predicts that things will only go downhill from here for this planet, And after learning this newfound information, Liam wonders how he is supposed to become an evil lord when he possesses neither wealth nor power. Meanwhile, somewhere in a bar, people begin discussing their new lord, Liam, questioning whether the common folk will forever be at the mercy of the nobles. The bartender lady remains hopeful, believing that a 5-year-old child couldn't possibly be as wicked as the previous lords. However, the others strongly disagree, convinced that this country is bound to experience yet another era of suffering. Going back to Liam, he still cannot comprehend why a mere 5-year-old like him is being burdened with such heavy responsibilities. He begins to suspect that his parents only gave birth to him so they could transfer all their debts onto him. The Chamberlain confirms this to be true, making Liam wonder if he is destined to be used, abused, and discarded just like in his previous life. Since both he and Amagi seem to be outcasts in this world, Liam proposes that they join forces for survival. He takes an oath to gain power and show everyone who is in charge, once again inviting Amagi to stand beside him as his partner. However, Amagi reminds him that her sole duty is to serve him as his maid, not as his equal. She is prepared to do whatever is necessary to satisfy his needs and tells him to feel free to command her as he pleases, just in case Amagi ever goes rogue. Liam establishes his own version of the 3 laws of robotics, naming them the 3 laws of maid robots. First, she cannot harm her master or cause anything that might lead to his harm. Second, she must obey all of her master's orders unless they contradict the first law. Third, she must protect her own existence as long as doing so does not conflict with the previous laws. Afterward, Liam turns to Amagi for advice, believing that as an AI, she should have vast knowledge about administration and governance. She suggests that they make use of an education capsule. Apparently, by using this capsule, Liam can install 10 years' worth of knowledge into his brain in just 6 months while also strengthening his body. Liking the idea, Liam decides to go through with it and assigns Amagi the role of overseeing his domain, putting her in charge of the territory. The Grand Chamberlain strongly opposes this decision, but he fails to win an argument against the combined wit of Liam and the advanced intelligence of an AI. With everything settled, Liam prepares to enter the education capsule. Before beginning the process, he asks Amagi one final question: do AI in this world have emotions? Even here, AI can mimic human behavior, and just for the sake of the anime, yes, she does have emotions. Leaving everything in her hands, Liam steps into the capsule, going into cryo-sleep for the next 6 months. The mysterious deity who claims to be the guide is a detached being who feeds on negative emotions, having already been done with Liam, his wife, and her lover, and now looking for his next target. He heads off to Earth again, where he lays his eyes on a young woman who is at a noodle shop about to have the best meal of her life. But as she snaps open the chopstick, it breaks unevenly, which in Japanese culture is considered a bad omen and is believed to bring misfortune or even death. The reason why the chopsticks broke unevenly is because of the guide deity who is loving how many negative emotions are being generated from her because of such a little thing. Meanwhile, back in Liam's world, Liam's maid Amagi waits for his awakening in front of his education capsule. The capsule opens up, and Liam wakes up, finding out that he's been asleep for 2 years and his physical body has grown and has been strengthened by the night-raising program of the capsule. Since it has been only seconds for Liam, he will need time to get used to his growing, and Amagi suggests that he get some rehabilitation. Afterward, Liam inquires how his territory, Banfield, has been doing, and Amagi shows him the territory's current economic situation. As an AI robot, she has done her part faithfully and has governed Banfield properly, so Liam praises her, but he wants to see the development with his very eyes. So, he heads out with her and becomes greatly astonished learning that she has created a spaceport for Banfield's army. Not only that, she has also built a floating dock in the skies where mobile robots and spaceships can be stationed. Liam eagerly visits the floating dock and is completely amazed by the sight of the mobile knights that he can and will mount in the future. As he expresses his wishes to ride the robot, Amagi arranges it for him, teaching him the basic controls, which are easy to learn. The maneuvering is dependent on magic, and basically, whatever movement Liam will imagine, The robot will move exactly as he wishes. Liam accordingly and carefully descends the mobile knight from its station and walks around with ease. Moments later, he gets bored and asks Amagi if there's any way for him to practice combat using the robot. She arranges it quickly, equips him with a sword, and summons Captain Masita of the Banfield Army to be Liam's sparring opponent. Liam excitedly takes the offensive and hits Masita's shield with full power, sending him crashing into the ground. Liam realizes that Masita deliberately gave up, and not wanting to be treated like a child by this army man. Liam makes it clear to him that he should take this fight seriously, or he'll face consequences for being disrespectful. So taking the duel seriously, Masita gets up and defends properly, disarming Liam in an instant and pinning him against the ground, ending the match. With this defeat, Liam gets hit with the reality check that he will have to build his own battle skills to become a better pilot. So, he tells his Chamberlain to hook him up with an instructor who will teach him how to become competent in combat. The Chamberlain doesn't think fighting is necessary for a lord, but Liam believes otherwise and no longer wishes to be oppressed by others for being weak. He wants to become the strongest out there in order to achieve his goal of becoming an evil lord, and appoints Yasushi, a man with a katana, to be his sensei. Liam introduces himself to Yasushi, expressing his desire to become the best swordsman, which prompts Yasushi to get into a philosophical speech about how there isn't anyone who can be called the best. Amagi becomes skeptical of the cringe man, but Liam tells her not to worry about it and begins his training with Yasushi. The master swordsman first demonstrates a secret technique of what he calls the way of the flash. Gripping the hilt, he slightly unsheathes his sword before sliding it back into place, and in an instant, all of the logs around him split in half. Liam initially believes that the man drew his sword so fast that they couldn't even see it. So, he asks Amagi to play the slow-mo video of it, which she recorded with her eyes, only to find out that the man didn't even draw his sword. Assuming that Amagi's high-tech camera couldn't capture Yasushi's technique, Liam becomes even more intrigued and decides to become Yasushi's disciple. However, what he doesn't know is that Yasushi is a scammer and the logs were already cut open by him beforehand. The guide deity watches the entire thing happen from his dimension. Perhaps he is the one who sent Yasushi here, and he eagerly waits to see what this will lead to in the future. On the other side, Christiana, the Princess Knight, gets a peace talks offering from the enemy pirate gang. So she heads to the enemy base with her battle fleet to speak with the enemy pirate gang's commander, Goze. However, Goze actually never intended to have any peace and only brought her here so he could attack her unguarded home planet, Mysteria. Moments later, thousands of pirate ships approach Christiana's planet, passing through her alliance's defense line, and Goze reveals that the alliance joined hands with him, betraying her because most of them think of her planet as a threat. As the entire combined fleet of the alliance point their weapons at Christiana's spaceship, Goze reveals that it just took him some money to convince the alliance to betray her and makes her realize that her rule ends here. However, he promises to not harm her planet if he listens to what he tells her to do. 3 years have passed since Liam started training under the con man, and of course he hasn't learnt the flash technique because it doesn't exist. He has mastered basic martial arts, but he isn't satisfied at all and wants to learn special techniques that can help him become an overpowered evil lord. Back at Master Usushi's crib, he boasts about how easy it has been to scam Liam, who continues to be clueless about the fact that he is nothing but a bum with no skill at all. He is happy about how much he has gotten and wishes this easy money would keep coming forever. At that moment, Liam returns to ask his master some questions. He pleads with his master to teach him a complicated technique called the technique of the way of the flash. Hearing this, Master Yasushi banishes him from the school as punishment for his continued insistence on wanting to learn an advanced technique when he hasn't fully mastered the basics. Immediately, Liam pleads with his master to forgive his ignorance and admits to being a fool, which he clearly is. He begs not to be kicked out, and Master Yasushi stylishly listens to his plea since he didn't want his money source to run dry. After being forgiven, Liam hurriedly leaves his master alone. Noticing that he has left, Master Yasushi breaks out of his elegant character and acknowledges that he has completely no idea about the technique Liam has asked him to teach. Just then, Liam returns again to offer him some extra money as an apology, and the hungry master accepts. When Liam finally leaves, he is very excited about the extra cash he would be getting. While he is excited, Liam returns again to inform him that he won't be available for classes the next day, and Master Yashushi has no problems with that. Of course, he would have no issues with his favorite money bag not coming for his pointless classes. Back at his palace, Liam takes an elegant position on his throne as he laments on the stress of learning. At that moment, Imagine informs him about Themon's economic report with debts remaining the same. However, since production and sales are growing, all seems to be well. Liam acknowledges Liam for her hard work and considers leaving the government to her more often. As pleased as Amagi was to hear this, she apologizes for having a low growth rate that they had expected. She shows him a report on the welfare program and laments on how the results have gone below expectation. Liam finds this surprising and wishes to know who is in charge of this failure. Shortly after, a weird-faced and ugly-looking shorty arrives. Immediately, Liam asks that he states his excuses for such failures. At first, the shorty is surprised about this, but is soon reminded about his concealing and manipulation of finances that shows a clear sign of embezzlement. Hearing this, the shorty defends himself by claiming that Liam is still too young to understand these things. He claims the expenses are necessary, but Liam reminds him that it's a lie. Furthermore, the shorty insists that he had injured those expenses to keep things running. Hearing him litter these lies, Liam asks why he chose to use a different vendor from the one that had been used before. But he claims that the new vendor is better. Stop the Capman. Having gotten tired of these lies, Liam reminds him about his other corrupt practices of bribing vendors. While these accusations continue, Liam's mind runs wild. He considers learning a thing or two from this seemingly talented corrupt official. Unfortunately, the fatty is not as talented as Liam had thought. Imagine informs him about an embezzlement case that had happened earlier which involved a subordinate of the shorty. Although he claims that this was entirely the work of his subordinate, as the case stated, Liam and Amago believed that he had only framed his subordinate to get away with it, especially considering the fact that the embezzled funds were never recovered. When Liam hears this, he is angry at the shorty for intentionally ice-skaying his subordinate to get away with the embezzlement. Scared, the short fatty claims that it's all lies and pleads with Liam not to trust dolls like Amago since they were the enemies of mankind. In a fit of rage, Liam picks up his sword and slowly walks towards the fatties, demanding to know if he loves to ice-sky his subordinate. Watching Liam walk to him, the fatty continues to say meaningless things to defend his actions, even aiming that everyone else does this since it keeps business running. Even with all this muttering, Liam unsheathes his sword. When this happens, the fatty switches and informs Liam that he is only able to live a luxurious life due to the efforts of lords like him. However, before he could complete such defamatory words, Liam slices the life out of him. He rants at the lifeless lord, letting him know that no one has the right to touch his people or his money except him. Before this could get out of hand, Imagine calms him down. Before then, he orders her to investigate all the corrupt officials. However, she lets him know that doing that would cause more harm than good. On the other hand, she suggests that he prepares a large number of dolls instead, claiming that 30 dolls would serve him more efficiently in things like governance and other subsidiary units to make sure there is progress in the land. Hearing this, Liam immediately agrees to it. Although Amagi believes people could have negative things to say about this decision, Liam doesn't seem to care as long as there will be progress. That night, the news begins to spread about how Liam had killed a corrupt official. Also, they talk about how Liam intends to change compulsory education from 3 to 6 years, which has made more construction workers to be assigned to building schools. They believe that Liam is doing a good job, especially considering his young age of 10. Meanwhile, Liam finally tries to control the large transformers like machines, since he has now mastered martial art. Unfortunately for him, his fake master arrives just in time to play down his dream of riding the machine by claiming that there is no meaning in using something that every other person can use. Instead, he asks Liam to consider controlling something more powerful which no one else can handle. Hearing this, Liam immediately agrees to it. He turns to the captain of the base for ideas and is told about the old non-automatic model of the machines. The captain informs him about the existence of a unit which his great-grandfather used to pilot, and Liam is so excited about taking after his great-grandfather's machine. Yasushi goes to a shrine looking for treasures, venting his frustration as he states how annoyed he is by the fact that Liam is actually progressing at a fast pace when the entire training process is supposed to be dubious. He knows he cannot fool Liam for too long, and the only option he has to keep milking this cash cow is by creating more meaningless tasks. He randomly presses his arm against the wall, which triggers a secret mechanism revealing a mobile knight that looks like it is from the ancient age. But for Yasushi, this is exactly what he needs to keep the money coming in by keeping Liam busy. Meanwhile, the evil deity known as the Guide is doing his usual search for negative emotions and heads to Earth, where he finds a guy who is easily offended and gets upset just because his Starbucks order is not quite perfect. The guide loves the taste of the guy's negative emotions, but he wants something more, something gourmet. Back in Liam's world, Yasushi has already instructed Liam to repair the ancient mobile knight named Avid for his training, and accordingly, Liam has made preparations. Liam is out practicing his master's fake ultimate technique, the Flash, with his butler Brian standing beside him. Brian, although feeling happy because Avid is Liam's great-great-grandfather's unit, still objects because he believes using such an ancient unit is not going to do Liam any good. However, Liam is certain that his piloting skills will be at the very top if he can master the oldest unit out there. Brian, being nosy as ever, tells Liam to stop trying to learn this BS technique, calling it a total waste of time. But Liam is determined that he will improve if he keeps putting in his best efforts and continues training. Amagi, on the other hand, goes to the location of the mobile knight Avid and expresses how skeptical she is of Yasushi and his training methods. She does not even believe that Yasushi is a swordsman at all, but because Liam has ordered her to repair Avid, she has no choice but to do her best to bring this junk back to life. Soon after, Lieutenant Nias Carlin, a weapons factory engineer, arrives with her team at Liam's planet to repair Avid. Liam meets her at the airport to wish her good luck, and as they are speaking, Nias notices Amagi and wonders why an AI doll is standing right beside a count. Liam gets offended seeing Nias's reaction and quickly makes it clear to her that he can possess an AI doll and will punish anyone who questions his way of living. However, he has read Nias's reaction wrong because Nias is actually a fan of androids and completely nerds out upon seeing Amagi. She is impressed, to say the least, seeing the custom-made features on Amagi and starts touching everywhere like a perv. She almost crosses the line by lifting Amagi's skirt up, but Liam prevents her just in time, telling her not to act inappropriately. Afterward, they head to the warehouse where Avid is placed, and upon first look, Nias comments that this machinery is dead meat and suggests Liam get a new unit instead of wasting his money trying to repair it. But Liam does not want her factory's defect products and makes it clear to her that the only mobile knight he is going to ride is Avid. Nias states that it would be too much of a hassle for her to fix this unit because they do not have its parts in stock. Furthermore, the size of this robot is much bigger than the regular ones, and that is why Nias thinks it will cost Liam a lot if he wants to revive this metal junk. Liam has got all the money he needs, and to fix the problem of the missing parts, he comes up with the idea to replace the old parts with the parts of the latest model to get the best output from Avid. But since Yasushi has strictly ordered Liam to learn how to pilot mobile knights manually, he instructs Nias to keep the controls manual and remove all the assist functions it has. Before leaving, he also asks Nias to add some special moves like a rocket punch that detaches the robot's fist on command, making it fly like a rocket toward its enemy. At that moment, Yasushi comes to the warehouse to see how much progress has been made on Avid's repair. As he lays his eyes on Nias, he is unable to move them away, falling in love at first sight. This pervert finds Nias so perfect in every inappropriate way that his nose bleeds. He quickly wipes his nose, fixes his posture, and comes forward to introduce himself to Nias. But she is so busy talking to Liam that she completely ignores his existence. Yasushi keeps trying, introducing himself and boldly asking her on a date. Yet again, she ignores Yasushi and continues discussing with Liam why it is impossible to add his silly special moves to Avid. To convince Nias, Liam states that he will give her as much money as she needs for the job, and Nias finally agrees, as her original plan from the beginning was to get as much money as possible from Liam. Yasushi becomes super jealous seeing Liam and his love at first sight talking with each other like they are in a rom-com drama, and decides to punish Liam by subjecting him to even more stupid and gruesome training. This time, he comes up with a devious idea, telling Liam to train blindfolded from now on. He places Liam on a flowing river, standing on a slippery log, and while Liam tries to balance himself, Yasushi starts firing dozens of tennis balls from his custom-made tennis ball gun. Of course, what this guy is doing here is hurting Liam on purpose for snatching his could-have-been waifu, but he masks it by saying that this new training will make Liam a better swordsman. Liam finds this training regime super hard, commenting how heavy his sword is with the weights attached to it. But under his master's instructions, he keeps practicing, trying his best to look through his mind's eye to dodge the incoming tennis balls. On the other side, the pirate commander Goaz goes to his battleship's prison cells, where he reveals he has captured many women, including Princess Christiana. He does not explain to any of them what is going on, but tells Christiana specifically to come out as they have arrived at their destination, the Treasure Island. He gets up close to Christiana, revealing that he wants to add her to his treasures because he finds her so beautiful that it makes his entire body tremble. He drags Christiana to the experiment room of his lab assistant and opens the door to the room of his old pets, revealing a disfigured woman who has been defiled and turned into a monster by this twisted pirate. Goaz literally throws her out of the ship and then reveals his intention to make Christiana his new pet. With all the time in the world to torture his new toy, he asks his lab assistant for some suggestions, and the assistant suggests that they cut Christiana's legs first to cripple her completely. Goaz comes up with an even more devious plan to gouge out Christiana's eyes and implant them onto her palms. Christiana, terrified, looks around, finding many test tubes where dozens of disfigured women have been stored by Goaz, meaning that unless a hero comes to save her, she is as good as dead. A couple of weeks pass and Nias completes the repair of Avid, adding tons of customizations according to Liam's orders as well, but the work is not done quite yet. Nias takes Liam inside the cockpit of Avid to show him how to operate this mobile knight. Of course, to do so, she has to take her top off, because otherwise, how is she ever going to show Liam the sacred treasures she possesses? Liam follows her instructions while avoiding eye contact and activates the engine. The robot does a quick scan of Liam, registering him as its pilot, meaning that no one else can operate this unit other than Liam from now on. Liam, excited, tries to take his first step forward but falls over immediately, and Nias explains that Avid does not have any automated assist functions like the auto balancer, and that is why, unlike the new ones, Liam cannot move it with a simple go forward button. But there is an upside to this according to Nias. If Liam somehow manages to master this old piece of junk, he will be able to move it just like he moves his real body. Feeling motivated, Liam gets up and slowly walks forward, this time balancing the mobile knight pretty well. He takes the unit outside of the warehouse when Nias mentions how important it is to maintain a strong mental image to control this robot. To help him focus, she gets closer to him and readjusts his controls when her chug jugs touch him on accident, causing Liam to have an entirely different mental image, resulting in Avid moving his hands as if it wants to feel something. The hand gesture makes Nias realize what Liam is thinking about, but Liam claims that it is not his fault. On the other hand, Yasushi suspects that this guy is abusing his powers and doing unspeakable things to the lieutenant inside the cockpit. However, Brian has tears of joy seeing his master finally interested in a real woman. Yasushi starts cursing Liam and is so enraged that he makes Liam go through even more vigorous training. Days go by, and Liam still cannot perform his master's secret technique, wondering if he lacks the talent for it. Amagi thinks that the actual problem lies in Yasushi's teaching and tells Liam how much she has been questioning Yasushi's credibility recently. But Liam, who completely trusts Yasushi, comes up with a logical explanation to defend his master's credibility, stating that perhaps magic is involved in Yasushi's secret technique. Liam figures out that it is magic that cuts the logs, not the sword. He channels his magical powers into his sword and swings it with the intention to cut the log with his magical power. By practicing this move repeatedly for months after months and years after years, he finally learns the technique that technically never existed. Now, as a grown man, Liam finally wants to demonstrate how much he has learned to Yasushi, slicing a wooden log from yards away just by swinging his sword toward its direction. Yasushi cannot believe what he is seeing. His teachings were supposed to be a bunch of lies. So why is it that Liam is able to cut the log? On the inside, he is terrified of Liam's powers, but keeps his poker face, telling Liam that he still has a long way to go before mastering this technique. A couple of weeks later, Liam is in space aboard his battleship with Amagi when he gets a report from one of his subordinates that Muke, one of the smaller abandoned planets in Liam's territory, that has only been used as a plant to produce energy, has been attacked by a pirate fleet. The military stationed at Mukai are engaged in a fight with the mobile knights released by the pirates, but Liam's subordinate does not think the military will be able to last long due to their small numbers. Amagi suggests that they ambush the pirates from Mukai's blind spot by using gravity and stuff, and Liam, going with her plan, orders all his ships to capture the pirates, while he himself goes to defend the plants on the front line. Brian, overhearing his command, begs Liam not to risk his life, but Liam is not a coward. Moreover, he considers himself quite a swordsman, trained by the legendary samurai, so he wants the Empire to see the skills he now possesses. Shortly after, he gets inside his mobile knight Avid and jets off to Mukai. From the enemy's blind spot, he attacks them, slicing one mobile knight after another before they can even spot him. In no time, he reduces the number of his enemies, and to attain some style points, he uses a special move called Beam Rifle to launch a beam of plasma ray at an enemy pirate. Only after that does he use the secret technique, the Way of the Flash, destroying dozens of his enemies from a distance, scaring the pirates to the point that they start retreating to their ships. Liam launches his other special move, Rocket Punch, which is super effective in itself, but Liam does not like it. He calls Nias right at that moment, complaining to her that he wanted a throwable fist, not a punching hand missile. Amagi interrupts their conversation, reporting to Liam that they have only managed to capture less than 10% of the enemy ships, as 30% have been destroyed, and the remaining have escaped. Liam considers this a win and praises Amagi for doing great on her part as a vice commander. That's it for this video. Let us know in the comments if you want the next part, and please subscribe. It's free, and you can always change your mind. Thanks for watching. Goze learns from his lackey about Liam's victory and can't believe that things have turned against their favor. He had clearly underestimated Liam's prowess, but it doesn't matter. He isn't going to give up until he sees Liam on his knees, begging for his sorry life. However, what triggers his fragile ego even more is the fact that his allied fleet ran away from the battlefield after being defeated by Liam. So, he orders his lackey to launch all of their ships to destroy that fleet, regardless of whether they are allies or not. He wants to make an example out of them, so that no one ever dares to disobey or look down on the pirate. For now, he wants to have some fun with his latest toy, Princess Christiana, whom he has already turned into an abomination, revealing that her eyes are now on her palm. Meanwhile, Liam returns to his main battleship and expresses his satisfaction to Amagi, stating that he enjoyed every bit of his battle against the pirates. Amagi congratulates her master on his effortless first battle, thanking him for defending their resource planet successfully. Liam is happy that he even got to capture some of the pirate ships, which he can now claim as his own, since that is the law of this empire. Liam can't wait to have all the treasures for himself that are inside those pirate ships, but becomes extremely disappointed when he learns that the cargo inside doesn't contain any conventional goods like gold. Both Amagi and Brian encourage Liam to be excited, since the resources inside the cargo are far more precious than gold, revealing that it was carrying a large number of rare metals like orichalcum, adamantine, and mithril. Apparently these metals are used to make weapons, but Liam, the muttonhead, wants gold crowns and chests full of diamonds. The cliché stuff. However, according to Amagi, in this universe, diamonds aren't valuable at all, since they are just crystals made out of the most common element in the universe, carbon. Amagi continues, stating that gold also holds no value because of its low ionization tendency. I don't know what Liam learned after spending ages in the damn education capsule, but anyway, he finally understands, yet still expresses his love for gold, telling Brian to bring some to him so that he can satisfy his greed from his past life's needs. Brian promises Liam that they have enough gold in their inventory, as it is used as a layering material when producing electronic devices. Hearing this, Liam orders Brian to turn the rest of the gold into gold coins, expressing his desire and dream to have his bedroom filled with gold coins. Bro's 30 by now, and adding his previous life's age, he's now over 60, but still acts like a baby. That's just crazy. But whatever, the Lord's wish is the servant's command, even though Amagi gives Liam the judgmental side-eye for a second, indicating how disappointed she is at this spoiled brat. While Liam is wasting time, asking Brian to make fancy old-school useless swords using the rarest metals, Amagi interrupts him, telling him about a serious problem they encountered when they sent out their army. Using a holographic image, she shows Liam the current number of battleships in his territory, which stands at 10,000. But apparently, fewer than 3,000 operate properly, and only 2,000 are available for emergency sorties. Liam is surprised to learn that his army defeated the pirates with only 2,000 battleships. Well, it was mostly Liam himself, using his mobile knight, who drove the enemies away, and there's also the factor that the pirates underestimated them, thinking they were poor, which contributed to their loss. Liam gives Amagi some credit as well, saying her battle strategy helped. In all seriousness, Liam wonders if he should just get rid of the useless old ships, to which Amagi gives her support, but Brian instantly objects, stating they cannot just throw away 7,000 of their ships, because if they do, the enemies will underestimate them. Amagi and Brian get into a heated argument regarding this issue, but ultimately, Liam unsurprisingly takes Amagi's side, deciding to follow her suggestion to buy second-hand battleships using the money earned from selling the rare materials he just seized from the pirates. The only reason he doesn't trust Brian's judgment is because, by following Brian's advice, the last head of this territory, Liam's father, created a mountain of debt that has now fallen squarely on Liam's shoulders. Somewhere else, on another planet, Nias is attending an expo to present investors with the newest battleship her manufacturing team, the 7th Weapons Factory, has developed. But the design and color scheme are so, having the lack of better words to describe this, dog shit, that the investors don't care even if her battleship is significantly more powerful than those made by other factories. After Nias's presentation, Ulyssia, the engineer from the 3rd Weapons Factory, unveils her battleship, which, not gonna lie, looks 1,000 times better compared to Nias's. It features a first-class interior, along with luxury living quarters designed specifically for nobles. So, of course, the investors unanimously chose Ulyssia's battleship for their army, leaving Nias completely ashamed and humiliated at being outperformed by her. She had poured everything into the ship's performance, and as a result, she lost. But she still just can't accept the fact that looks matter. Not wanting to get yelled at by her boss, she decides to exploit Liam once again by manipulating him into buying all of her battleships, referring to him as a total dumbsucker. The guide appears once again, and just like any other day, he is in search of some negative emotions to feed on. He finds a guy wasting his life, cursing while playing Valo all day. After collecting some tasty malevolence from him, the guide heads to Liam's universe to eat the big fish, assuming Liam's negative emotions must have accumulated a lot over these past couple of years. But when the guide arrives on Liam's planet, he is absolutely stunned to see the growth of Liam's territory, leaving him wondering how this muttonhead managed to turn a town that looked like an undiscovered ancient ruin just a few years ago, into a modern city. Even so, the guide doesn't lose hope just yet. Recalling the useless con artist he once sent into Liam's path years ago, disguised as the swordsmaster, he holds on to the hope that Guy has contributed something to turn Liam into a total loser. The guide is angry, to say the least. He cannot imagine that things aren't going the way he wishes. Meanwhile, the citizens start saying good things about their lord. They enter into a bar where they discuss how Liam had been able to capture pirates and even get several goods from the pirates he had captured. He is indeed way different from his father, and the way he rules suits them a lot. However, there is someone in that same bar that isn't excited about Liam. That person is Yasushi, a fraud through and through. He complains about his student with all his might. The attendant, seeing how frustrated he sounds, tries to ask him what is wrong. He reveals that no matter how much he ensures that his student doesn't understand swordsmanship, the boy keeps getting good. The woman can't understand why he is angry that his student is good. For every teacher, this should be a good thing. Well, not for a fraud who calls himself a teacher. He complains that at his best, he is nothing but a third-class, maybe second-class swordsman. But to his shock, Liam is slowly getting to first class. This could mean two things. Either Liam has clocked him and is just pretending, or Liam hasn't clocked him, but will soon. No matter the possibility, it still means doom for him. The guide comes inside to see feedback. Nothing works according to his plans either. He had sent Liam a bad teacher, but Liam's life is an irony of what he wants. As they both lament, Liam is at home practicing his sword. He cuts several trees at once, and he is excited. He knows he has gotten better, but the fool still thinks Yasushi is way better than him. He speaks to Amagi to know if he has the same speed as Yasushi, but Amagi sees no difference. Knowing good things do not just happen to him, he doesn't want to waste his life. He thinks about his life again. He was reincarnated as a son to parents who left him with loads of debts, but now he is a good swordsman. He has started paying off some of his debts, and things are going well for him. To him, all this is because of the guide. He appreciates the guide, but his gratitude only brings the guide a load of heartache. As a creature who only lives on misfortune, gratitude is a poison to him. He feels like dying, and he looks around for anyone that he could get negative energy from. Thankfully, Yasushi's negative energy is available for him to live on. It is not enough for him, and he really needs Liam to fail. He consoles himself that the best time a person fails is when the person is at the verge of success, so he would wait until Liam is almost successful, so that the misfortune he will get will be much. At the castle, Amagi comes to inform Liam that the Imperial Army are thinking of disposing of their old weapons. Since they need second-hand weapons, it will be best to buy from the Imperial Army. The deal seems nice to Liam, but it has a condition that may be the downfall the guide wants. The condition is that he has to take some of the Imperial armies too as a part of the exchange. Getting stupid soldiers is bad for him, but Amagi advises that these soldiers are educated, and they will be good, so he proceeds with the deal. The guide watches, hoping that the soldiers will rebel against him when they come, and it will be his greatest downfall. Fingers crossed to see what will happen. The next day, Yasushi wakes up with a severe hangover. He regrets drinking, but he doesn't have enough time to process his regret when Nice comes to visit him. She has her own reasons for coming. She wants to know about Liam, so she can pitch her crazy weapons to him. On the other hand, Yasushi assumes she visited him because she likes him and he looks good. I really hope he looks at the mirror. Their conversation ranges from delusions to stupidity. She eventually asks him what could be Liam's fetish. What is that thing that, if she does around Liam, even if he isn't interested in her weapon, he will buy that weapon? However, she isn't straightforward with him. He assumes that she is asking him what he wants in a woman. He tries to dodge the conversation, so he won't tell her his fetish, but she is very persistent. He assumes she loves him a lot and can't understand what it means not to be around him, so he spills. He tells her how he likes his skirts, short and revealing, that he likes flashy underwear. He enjoys seeing tight suits, and even the type of stockings he loves. For her, she assumes he is telling her about Liam, so she takes the suggestion and sets out to see Liam. Looking all glammed and glamorous, with her tight and short skirts that reveal what is under, and her tight suit with the flashy underwear. Her presence doesn't even appeal to him. She barely even looks as good as Amagi, so why will he like her? She tries to shake all she had brought before even pitching, but he commands her to go straight to her pitch. She tells him about the weapons, but he refuses to buy. He had just bought them from the Imperial Army. She is angry that the third weapon is still working against her. She begs him to at least buy from her. She starts shaking everything. Instead of getting excited at what she is shaking, he is getting annoyed. He recalls that in his past life, his wife also had those kinds of underwear. She didn't wear them at night to him, which means she probably wore them to meet the man she was cheating with. His expression changes. She assumes it is because he likes it, but no, what he is seeing is actually traumatizing, and he hates the sight. Although Nice sells worse weapons, you can't deny her persistence. Since she insists he must buy, and her sights irritate him, he decides to buy so she can leave. He asks Amagi if they have the funds, and fortunately for her, Amagi advises that they have the money, and it wouldn't be a waste, so they should buy. She is so excited that she falls down with her entire body exposed as she rushes out of the castle. As she leaves, she calls her colleague at work. He brags that Liam had bought from her because she looked so good, and Liam couldn't even take his eyes off her body. Brian overhears this conversation, angry that his boss could fall for just body. On the other hand, Yasushi overhears her, and he is angry. He is the one with that fetish, and he is angry that those fetishes were used on Liam, who enjoyed it, instead of him. This Liam they are all concerned about is laying on Amagi's legs, enjoying the kingly pleasure that he really wants. What an irony! Soon after, Nias delivers Liam all 300 of the battleships she forced him to order from her. At the same time, the battleships Liam brought from the Imperial Army also arrive. Amagi gets a receipt from the Imperial Army via quantum teleportation, and she asks Liam for his signature on the receipt by repeating the word quantum several times. So Liam jokingly places his thumb finger on her melons, stating it will be his quantum thumbprint. Got him. Anyway, Yasushi is chilling inside his home, wondering how he's going to take revenge on Liam for snatching Nias away from him every single time. He recalls Nias's plot, regretting the fact that Nias wasted her precious treasures on that doll-obsessed brat. He can only imagine what Liam must have done to poor innocent Nias, and vows to make Liam pay for everything. As his anger builds up, the guide reveals himself to have been watching and devouring all of Yasushi's negative emotions. The guide cannot wait to see what Nias's anger will lead to, and can only hope that this anger will lead to Liam's eventual downfall. So the guide places his trust in this con man and leaves for another realm, looking for more negative emotion. Nias brings Liam to the battleship she made to show it around to him. Liam doesn't expect anything luxurious or at all stylish. He doesn't expect anything at all from this incompetent woman, but the interior still disappoints him. Nias explains that luxurious interiors are just for decoration and hold no real value in war. But Liam doesn't care. He wants decoration. Nias can't change Liam's mind, and she isn't going to add any fancy interiors. So they both agree to disagree and move on to the next topic about how to use this ship. Nias briefs Liam on the instructions for how to ride the ship, including how much power to use at the beginning, and how frequently he needs to change the fuel. She also tries to make him buy a loyalty card, saying he'll get a discount on maintenance fees if he does so, but Liam isn't interested in it. Nias moves on and shows Liam the throne of this battleship, which still has a protective film on it. She gets eager to tear off the protective film and keeps pushing to close the deal, trying to entice him with her body, and tells him to just go ahead and sign the receipt. She even gives him the option to thumbprint on her melons, but that just leaves Liam disappointed, leaving Nias wondering if this guy is gay or something. Liam just wants to get it over with, so he agrees to sign the receipt, but Nias, still not satisfied, asks Liam for a favor. She wants the pirate ships Liam seized the other day, but Liam refuses, stating he plans to incorporate those ships into his fleet. Nias still keeps on insisting like a greedy bee, so Amagi steps in, suggesting that they give Nias some of the pirate ships, and in exchange make her modify and fix the rest of the ships for them. Liam loves the idea since all of the pirate ships are in complete wreck, and Nias also agrees, revealing that the only reason she wants to get her hands on the pirate ships is because she wants to see what kind of technology the pirate ships use. Apparently, the technology is unknown, and the equipment comes from outside the Empire, and that's why Neas wants to study it and use the technology on her own models. But before closing the deal, Liam visits the pirate ships first, along with Amagi and Neas, entering one that is not in a total wreck, and he can immediately notice the difference between the design and the interface. The ship literally has a helm, like a classic pirate ship, and Liam loves it so much that he wants to put it on his own battleship. Neas the normie goes into a detailed explanation of why this is a bad idea, but Liam shuts her up, being a man of culture, and makes it clear that if he wants it, he is going to have it, regardless of whether it's useless or not. Neas ignores Liam and starts exploring the room, nerding out every time she sees something new. Meanwhile, Liam notices a tiny glowing dog heading to another room, so he follows it along with Amagi, and it eventually leads him to a navigation room. His footsteps trigger a mechanism on the ground below, and it displays the ship's trajectories up until now. Amagi analyzes the trajectory and realizes that this ship has been ravaging the entire Empire. But what interests him more is that the ship always ends up at one of the warp gates in the border area. Apparently, this area is a lawless zone outside the Empire's control, and also happens to be the front line of a war zone between the Empire and another country. Liam realizes that this warp gate must lead to the pirates' hideout, and once Amagi analyzes the coordinates, she figures out where the secret pirate base is. She goes into a scientific explanation about how difficult it is to reach the area, stating how abnormal its orbital radius is and how challenging it would be to travel there. But Liam doesn't bother understanding any of it. He is more focused on what the hideout might hold for him. He suspects the place is a treasure island, where the pirates sneak around regularly to store their greatest treasures. Although Liam is being delusional, Amagi lets him decide what to do with this information, and he excitedly declares that their fleet will immediately go on a treasure hunt. Soon after, Goaz gets the news that Liam has started an attack and has already defeated some of his underlings at the front line. He brings the underlings before him, deciding to punish them for tainting the pirate name by being defeated by a trash count. Before dealing with these losers, Goaz commands his subordinates to bring him Liam's head, sending everyone to the battlefield, and deploys all of his ships. Liam, along with his fleet, heads to the warp gate that leads to the pirates' hideout. But they are not allowed to use the gate because there's an apparent toll fee that needs to be paid to the Empire. The officer handling the warp gate connects with Liam, explaining that since the gate covers a huge distance and Liam intends to warp 7,000 ships, it will require a lot of money. Liam promises to pay later once he's done, but the officer doesn't trust his credibility. So Liam asks Amagi to find him someone credible, but sadly, they have no connections. Liam explains the situation to the officer again, telling him that he intends to pick a fight with the pirates, but that only makes the officer more unwilling to allow it, since Liam cannot even guarantee a safe return, let alone the due payment. Liam hasn't brought any funds, and it took him several days to come here, so he cannot just go back. So Liam demands the officer to let him speak to his manager. Unfortunately for him, the officer is the highest ranking person here, so Liam just throws a tantrum and ends the call. He comes up with an idea and decides to meet the officer face to face to negotiate a deal. While he keeps trying to see how he can convince them at the Rap Gate to allow him into the Parmonia Gate without the gate fee, Goaz and his spaceship arrive at the Parmonia Gate. He has all his connections at that gate, and despite being the villain in this situation, he doesn't have to beg anyone to let him in. Indeed, the ones with the money run the world. He calls the Rap, and the person he knows there greets him excitedly, asking him where he's going from the Parmonia Gate. He reveals that he is going to the Domos Gate. The Domos Gate leads to nothing. Everyone knows there is barely anything for a villain like Goaz to gain in that city. The man asks what he wants to do in a wasteland. What's the man's business, though? Goaz shares the same opinion as I do here. He asks the man what concern it is of his and states that since he has the money, he should be allowed to enter without issue. He pays immediately. Meanwhile, Liam arrives at the Rap Gate physically, hoping that he can use his negotiating skills to gain entrance. He asks to enter, and the man says there is no issue. He is excited until the man cuts him short by asking for his gate fee. Liam first tries to brag that he is a noble and can get them the money, but the attendant isn't fazed by his weak boasting. When he sees that boasting doesn't work, he becomes humble, begging the attendant to please let him in, but the attendant doesn't care. He adds lies to his drama by bowing in tears, saying he wants to see his sick mother and the trip is necessary. See your sick mother with this huge number of ships? Your mother must need ships to recover. Seeing that his lies don't work, he turns and says he wants his mother to see his fleets before she dies. Well, the man tells him to return, get the money, and come back, if indeed his mother is that important. The man receives a call regarding Goaz's passage, so he leaves to deal with other things. Liam is angry that his negotiating skills are no longer working. He walks around the place and sees the dog again. He follows the dog. At the wrap room, they see Goaz's passage. Knowing that Liam's ship is also in the waiting room, they realize the clash isn't going to be a gentle one. They were the ones in the wrong since they received payment from a pirate without knowing where he was going, so they decide to turn a blind eye. Everyone working there goes on a break so that when the clash happens, it will seem as though they weren't in attendance. After they all leave the room, Liam finds himself there. He sees it's a wrap gate, and there's a pirate ship around Parmonia Gate. He assumes the attendant had given him passage and even told everyone to leave so no one would know he gave him passage without payment. Looking at the screen again, he sees the wraps moving in opposite directions. He assumes it was a mistake on the part of the attendant and sits down to correct. This spoils Goaz's movement, but since his trip continues, he doesn't see any issue. Suddenly, Amagi calls Liam to return. When he gets back, she tells him they've gotten a letter of credibility, not from a noble, but from Neas, since they've bought a lot from her. Well, one good turn surely deserves another. He happily appreciates her and comments that the officers were ready to bend for them. But now that they have the letter, it will be easy for them to enter. He commands Amagi to launch into the wormhole, and she does as commanded. Their trip to Parmonia Gate begins, and fortunately for them, Goaz and his people had left their base, so they will be caught unaware. On the other hand, Goaz becomes impatient. He is meant to reach Domos Gate within 30 minutes, but the journey has been going on for a while, and he hasn't gotten there. He asks his rider, who is also concerned, but they see a gate in front of them and assume it is their destination. Since they didn't know about Liam's tweak to the wormhole, they enter the gate. When they get there, they see red everywhere. Several spaceships are there, ready to launch and fight them. They realize they are in a danger zone as they have entered the Imperial Army zone. While it is doom for them, it is fortunate for Liam. He eventually arrives at his destination, and while Amagi wants to check their coordinates, he doesn't need that. He can see the several pirate ships and knows that is the treasure island they've been looking for. Amagi looks further and sees that none of the spaceships are activated, meaning they aren't ready for war and aren't prepared. Liam decides to take this opportunity to attack them unaware. He tells Amagi to launch the ships. She releases the other spaceship to attack, while he enters his own spaceship, named Avid. Within a few seconds, he launches several attacks at the island. He uses his rocket punch to destroy all of their ships, and with his avid crush, he crushes them. All this goes on without Goaz knowing what is happening to his island. In fact, it's even unsure what he is going through on the Imperial Army Island, where he has found himself. Liam sets the spaceship on fire. Amagi comes to report to him that all the spaceships have been set on fire, but that isn't enough for him. He is there for the treasures on the island, and that is what he will take. He tells Amagi to release the mobile knights. She does as commanded, and all the mobile knights target the rock-like island in front of them. He looks from his ship, excited to hunt treasures. I hope he finds gold, since gold is his favorite treasure. It is unsure how Goaz will react to this hit, but I can assure you that there are exciting times ahead. Subscribe here to see the next part. We go back in time when Christiana was back in her homeland and meeting with her father, His Majesty, her brother Prince Rickart, and her sister Rowene, to whom she had promised that she would make it back safely. But then there was a sudden explosion outside, caused by the pirates. Apparently, the Alliance had betrayed Christiana's family and allowed the pirates to invade her planet, and as a result, the kingdom was blown to bits. and Christiana was taken captive by Goas. It was then revealed that Goas had captured many other women, but Christiana thought her fate would turn out differently, as she was a princess knight. She even dared to humiliate and mock Goas in his own territory, which turned out to be her biggest mistake, as Goas defiled one of his female captives right in front of her, with the help of his mad scientist assistant, who turned the poor girl into a freaking monster. Not long after, Christiana got to see the abomination that was created due to her mistake. It didn't take her long to understand that Goas turned beautiful women into hideous creatures solely for entertainment, and that there was no other explanation. So she could only hope that there'd be a hero one day who would come and rescue her before she too was turned into a monster. But this isn't that kind of story, and Christiana ended up getting tortured, her whole body cut from downside up, as she lost all of her fighting spirit. Goas expressed how much fun he was having, breaking someone as strong-willed as her. In any case, he stated how much he hated her sad, tearful eyes, and ordered his underling to gouge them out and implant them into the palms of her hands. He explained that in that way, she could have a good look at her future hideous self without needing a mirror. While the scientists started operating on Christiana, Goas turned to the girls behind him, telling everyone to watch closely, as soon their turn was also coming up. Christiana begged Goas to show mercy, but he just laughed and watched as she was turned into a green, blobby monster. Coming back to the present, the scientist has locked her inside a glass capsule, where she begs continuously for someone to take her life. The scientist comes up to her and tells her that she isn't going to die just yet, as Captain Goas isn't done playing with her. At that moment, several explosions can be heard outside, caused by Liam's army. It's a surprise assault, one that has already sunk all of the defensive ships of this island. The scientist has to take command, because Captain Goas is away, but he isn't any good at leading, and taking that opportunity, Liam, in his Mecha Knight, slashes through all of the enemy mobile knights. After making sure no enemies are left, Liam orders an all-out search for the pirates' treasures, and also tells his crew to find survivors as well. While looking for the treasures, Liam sees the glowing dog again, and follows it to the laboratory, where he captures the scientist. He asks the scientist about the treasures, and the scientist tells him about Goas's pets, which is the biggest treasure here. Not knowing what that is, Liam goes to the place along with the scientist, where all of the pets of Goas are locked, and gets drawn to the green, blobby girl, Christiana. The scientist proudly claims Christiana as one of his greatest creations, and his slimy remarks make Liam feel like he was talking to his past life's boss, the evil a-hole who made his life a living hell. Now, having enough power, Liam doesn't waste any time and shoots this crackhead right in the head before turning back to Christiana. Learning who Liam is, Christiana begs him to save her and all of the people kept here, and Liam agrees without thinking twice, asking her to repay his favor in the future. He then walks away, but what he didn't get is that what Christiana meant by saving her is that he should kill all of them here, because no one had the will to live anymore like this. Liam's subordinate confronts Liam about this, and Liam explains that he isn't an idiot, and is actually planning to regenerate all of the captives' bodies from scratch using highly costly elixir that can put his territory in debt again. This isn't really what an evil lord should be doing, but Liam doesn't want to abandon people who are going through a worse time than he did in his past life, and that is why he is going to this length to save them. Soon after, Liam goes back to his planet, where the greedy biatch Neas comes again after hearing Liam conquered a space pirate's base. So she wants him to buy some of her battleships to celebrate, which makes literally no sense. Liam knows she's just here to extort him, but since her ships did help him conquer the treasure island, he decides to give in. But when she starts showing her melons, he gets disgusted and refuses to buy any at all, making her realize that he's grown bored of her body. She goes into a depressing monologue on how he has used her all this time, when she's the one who's used him constantly, and growing fed up with her and wanting to get rid of her. Liam asks Amagi about the funds. Amagi does some calculations and tells Liam that the loot they got from the treasure island can be used to buy 5,000 of Neas's ships. But before Liam can say what he wants, Neas takes it as a yes and literally runs away. While heading back, she cries to her subordinates on a video call about how she ripped her dignity to shreds to secure the order. Liam's master Yasushi overhears her talking, and assuming that she sold her body to Liam again, which she's never actually done, he goes into rage mode. The guide, revealed to have just arrived here, gladly eats Yasushi's negative emotions. Liam goes out looking for Nias, wanting to cancel the order he never placed, when he runs into Yasushi, who takes him to the training grounds wanting to punish him. Claiming it's just training, Yasushi blindfolds Liam and launches a barrage of drone attacks at him with full power. But that backfires again, as Liam, in this desperate moment, learns defensive magic and destroys all of the drones using a magic shield. Yasushi is speechless. He gives up and walks away, saying he has nothing more to teach him, and to make him stop dying for more training. He gives Liam the title of a certified master. With this new meaningless title, Liam is finally content, and he thanks the guide from the bottom of his heart for bringing him to this fine world, not knowing his positive emotions would piss the guide off. A few days pass, and Liam is back to being unsatisfied with his life. He complains to both Brian and Amagi about how he, as the greatest evil lord in this world, wants to make everyone pay because of how unfair his past life was, and Amagi, not understanding his ambition, agrees that he should pay everyone. What she means is that he should pay his debts, but Liam brushes it off, saying he'll do it later. For now, he wants to enjoy his life as an evil lord, and to do so, he needs power, money, and most importantly, a harem full of hot women. He already has power because he's a skilled, certified master swordsman, so he wants to have money next. That's when Merchant Thomas visits him to congratulate him on defeating the pirates. As a gift, Thomas has brought Liam's favorite, gold, and tons of it. Liam is happy, but he knows there's a catch. So he asks Thomas what he wants, and Thomas explains that his merchant crew needs to pass through a dangerous territory and is hoping he can use Liam's fleet, 100 ships to be exact, as the escort. Liam turns to Amag, and upon confirming they have enough ready, he agrees to lend Thomas some, but subtly reminds him that when he comes back next time, he has to give Liam more gold. After meeting with Liam, Thomas, with his assistant, goes through a major city in Banfield territory in a car. Thomas exclaims how prosperous and advanced this place has become over just a couple of years, and that apparently has only been possible because Liam has been using most of the tax income to develop the territory. Thomas compliments Liam, calling him a wise ruler, but the only thing that weirds him out is Liam's obsession with gold. In any case, since gold is cheap, Thomas doesn't care and hopes things will continue to go well for both sides. Back at Liam's mansion, Liam gives Amagi his new gold bars, asking her to turn them into gold coins, gold baths, and fill those baths with gold. He then sits on his throne and becomes glad that he finally took a bribe and did what an evil lord is supposed to do, having enough gold in his arsenal. He doesn't need to care about money, so the last thing he needs to enjoy life is women. So he decides to make himself a harem and remodel a gigantic hall room to be fit for the harem room. His butler Brian no longer bothers to question his decisions and goes with the flow, knowing very well he's up to something super weird again. Anyway, Liam shares his plan to make a pool here and fill it with wine, hang meat, have fruits everywhere, and obviously line up beautiful women in every corner. Amagi interrupts, but before she can tell him how extravagant his plan is, Liam makes it clear to her that his wishes are absolute. But that's not what Amagi was going to say. She clarifies that she doesn't mind Liam wasting a large sum of money on decorating a useless room, but what bothers her is his idea of filling a pool with alcohol, which apparently is dangerous because the room might permeate with alcohol fumes. Learning that there's a risk of ignition or explosion, Liam wonders if he should reconsider. Amagi continues, telling Liam that drinking pool alcohol is filthy, and before Liam can make a counter-statement, she goes into a more nerdy explanation, making him finally understand why his plan is bad. Brian also finally speaks, explaining why Liam cannot hang meat, and after a long lecture, Liam finally realizes how stupid and questionable his plan is. Regardless, he still wants to have a harem, and when both Amagi and Brian surprisingly agree to let him have unlimited women he can fool around with, Liam becomes surprised. It seems he had forgotten how much power and authority he holds, and most of the people with similar status like him all have their own harem. So it's fair that Liam also gets one for himself. Brian once again goes into a long lecture about how he thought Liam didn't have interest in women and was pathetically attracted only to AI dolls, and how the thought of Liam having no heir made him so anxious. The old man literally starts pressuring Liam to produce an heir as soon as possible before he gets taken out by a pirate or something. But Liam ignores him and focuses on building a harem, deciding to have 100 women in it. However, when he finds out that 100 women in this world is only a meager amount, he looks for Amagi's support, who believes Liam should at least have 1,000 women. Liam gets nervous and decides to cancel everything, choosing only Amagi as his partner. But after enough persuasion from Brian, he agrees and makes it clear that he'll only select women who don't want to be with him, since that's what villains are supposed to do. With that goal, he heads to the city and approaches his first victim, who, at the sight of him, falls for him. He becomes flustered and even more disgusted when the girl shows a nose balloon, an accessory that's in fashion currently. Liam quickly heads back to his mansion and orders an immediate ban on this item, calling it a huge turnoff. After visiting the beach, he finds women fully covered and realizes he must change the fashion sense of this planet. So he adds a sub-goal to develop the fashion and orders Amagi to gather some good fashion designers immediately. But according to Amagi, changing fashion alone is enough to cross their annual budget, so Liam puts it off for now and chooses an alternative, planning to bring beautiful women from other planets here. Amagi objects, telling Liam that his mansion already has the most beautiful women in this territory as his servants, so there's no need for him to bring any more. But Liam doesn't want to approach them, since the whole point is that he wants to find women who are not into him. Amagi supposes that Liam is just attracted to men and is too shy to admit it, but that's not the case, and wanting to prove her wrong, he wonders what he should do. On the other hand, Christiana, with the help of this world's medical technology, is back in her original body again. She thinks it's a dream, but she doesn't want it to end. Ever. Upon learning from the doctor that Liam paid for the elixir, a miracle drug that was used on her, and all of the other captives for body regeneration, she is overwhelmed. In any case, she recalls Liam's words, "You must repay the favor one day," and wonders if she'll ever be able to meet her savior and repay his debts. The villagers convene at the bar once again to speak about what they are all going through, and everything they have to say about Liam is all good news. From how he had fought the pirates and gotten new pirate ships which they have used in developing the city, and now everyone has work to do, and they have so much work that they no longer have free time. The city is flourishing. The people are happy. He is indeed a good lord. The guide is sitting there angry. He had expected that Liam would be governing a city with no inheritance and money. He would be poor and be inflicting pain on his people. That way, he would not only get his misfortune from Liam alone, but also from the people. He leaves there to another destination, hoping to see them complaining. He goes to the captain that had been banished from the Imperial Army to Liam's squad. Instead of being angry at themselves and at Liam, they aren't angry. They comment that they enjoy their work with Liam even more than they enjoyed working at the Imperial Army. With Liam, they feel like they are at liberty. They have free will. They admit that he is indeed the best lord, and despite his young age, he is knowledgeable. When the guide hears this again, sorrow fills his heart. He had brought them there hoping that they would be angry and infiltrated, and therefore rebel against Liam. Instead, they are swearing their loyalty to him. What rubbish. On the other hand, Yasushi has eventually run away to a place farther from Liam, hoping that Liam wouldn't search for him, and he will have no issue. He still has fears that Liam will one day realize what he has done and punish him. As he is lost in his thoughts, he listens to the news and sees that Liam is being appreciated for fighting the pirate and winning. When Liam gives his speech, he says he can only attribute his strength to his teacher, Yasushi, who has taught him the way of the flesh. When Yasushi hears this, a wave of fear consumes him again. He gets worried that Liam may find him later. The guide comes there too and sees that Yasushi is being appreciated. When he sent Yasushi to Liam, it was with the intention that Yasushi would be a fraud and Liam wouldn't be able to learn anything. So he is very disappointed. Eventually, Goes escapes back to his pirates after a great war war with the Imperial army. He wonders how things had turned that way for him. Luckily for him, he asks about an update of his ships, and he is glad that some of them are still good. He asks what had happened at the Domos, and how they found themselves in the Imperial army instead of Banfield. He assumes that he has been betrayed at the Domos, and plans revenge. However, the guide comes there. Finally, he has seen someone he could convince against Liam. He reminds him that it was Liam that had destroyed his pirate, and if there is anyone he should fight, it should be Liam. Goes takes this advice and plans that after he repairs his ships, he is going against Liam. Innocent Liam is at home, enjoying the presence of his maids, from giving him meals to fanning his food before he eats it. But he isn't satisfied. He still feels that to be an evil lord, he has to be more evil than he presently is. Amagi sees his dissatisfaction and asks what more he wants. She gives different suggestions as to what could satisfy him, but he rejects all. When she talks about if he wants more wives, he asks her if she will be fine with it. She reminds him that she is a robot. She has no say and only wants his satisfaction. He doesn't want her hurt by the several wives he gets, despite the fact that she insists she can't be hurt. She asks if he wants more robots instead, but she insists Brian wouldn't like it. He doesn't care about Brian. The following day, Amagi gives him an update of their debts, how much they have paid and how their interest rate is reducing because they have paid a lot. He is fine with his present reality, but he is still concerned. His intention isn't to be a good lord, but an evil one. Unfortunately, he has to be conscious of the city so he can get enough money to pay his debts. Amagi asks him what he wants as an evil lord, and he reveals he wishes to increase taxes and suck life out of all the citizens. To her, it isn't a good idea. Doing that will only reduce their economy, and they will lack money in circulation to pay up their debts. He admits that she is right, but her response is mature, and he doesn't care. He, however, thinks about how satisfying his life is now, and how she is by his side. So he accepts to live like that for a while until he pays up his debts. He had made Amagi produce several robots who work as maids. 3 of these robots complain that there is literally no one at the castle for them to do, hence they keep cleaning unnecessary places. One of them says that she changes her hair to that of her colleague, and she is shocked that Liam recognized her and differentiated her despite the fact that they have the same body. She cherishes the video where Liam recognized her and claimed she kept it. The others plan to do the same, but Amagi comes to warn them. She deletes the video, reminding them robots are illegal, and if they keep trying to get Liam's attention and get closer to him, it will affect his reputation. One of them asks her if she being close to him won't affect his reputation. She admits that it has the same effect, but says that she doesn't have a choice, because that is what Liam wants. As she leaves, they wonder if she just wants to monopolize him for herself alone. Suddenly, Brian comes with bad news. He announces that Goes has declared a war against their city. He calls the advisors so they can discuss a countermeasure. They tell him what Goes is asking for, a lot of money, handsome men, and beautiful women, that if they give him all of that, he will leave them. He gets concerned. Brian assumes he is concerned because he loves the city, but he is concerned because Goes seems like the evil lord he aspires to be. He compares his ammunition with that of Goes, and he seems weaker. He could go for the fight. Thinking about it, the bounty on Goes' head isn't worth the stress. As they talk, time suddenly freezes, and the guide visits him. The guide has realized that he is trying to change his mind as regards the fight, so he comes to convince him to fight, telling him that Goes' pirate has a lot of treasures, and fighting Goes will give him both money and prestige. Liam assumes that the guide has his best interest at heart, so after the guide leaves, he announces that they will fight. This shocks his advisors. What will be the end of this great war? The guide, yet again, just like any other day, wanders in search of the negative emotions that are released in everyone's day-to-day life. Today, he visits a highly busy croissant shop where the limited edition papaya mango croissant is being sold. One girl in the line cannot wait for her turn, but everyone before her keeps buying only the papaya mango croissant, leaving her frustrated, thinking the item will run out. In her mind, she begs the people in front to at least leave 1 croissant for her, but as they keep buying 2, 4, 6 croissants for themselves, she loses hope and breaks into tears. With only 1 person in front of her and 2 croissants left, she hopes that the person would be content with buying just 1, but much to her shock, that person buys both croissants, shattering her dream of enjoying a nice, tasty meal in the afternoon. As she walks away in regret, disbelief, and disappointment, the guide gladly devours her negative emotions, calling it tasty. Just as the girl is about to leave, that's when the baker of the shop announces they have just baked more croissants for their customers. So she turns back, releasing positive emotions and annoying the guide, who didn't expect such a sudden turn of events. He gives up on this snack and decides to go for the main course, hopefully a Liam in ruin. Meanwhile, Brian gets on a call with Amagi and panics after learning that the space pirates have come to invade their planet. Amagi tells Brian to stop reacting as if they've already lost and assures him that Liam made the right choice by choosing to fight. According to her, there's only a 3.8% chance of Liam winning, but she'd rather have Liam take that than surrender to Goz's terms, because judging from Goz's past history, if Goz gets the upper hand, he will definitely wipe out Liam's planet. So, a 3.8% chance is obviously better than a 0% chance. Brian understands, but he still doesn't think Liam will be able to win, commenting that if only Liam was born 100 years ago, he would have had a much better chance of defeating his enemies. Meanwhile, Liam is confident that he'll win because he thinks he has the guide by his side. He imagines all the riches he will get from winning this war and is filled with positive emotions, which the guide, watching him from a distance, truly despises. The guide, at this point, wants Liam to be captured by the pirates and turned into Goz's personal play toy, because in that way, when Liam is tortured every single day, the guide can get all the negative emotions from him he'd ever require. According to the guide's intel, Goz's fleet equipment is just as good as the Imperial armies, and so he is strongly confident that Liam is going to lose here. He puts the blame on Liam, saying it's Liam's fault for putting his trust in a guy like him. The guide mocks Liam, calling him a fool for being just as naive as he was in his past life. The guide predicts that when Goz captures Liam and tortures him, this idiot's gratitude toward the guide will turn into hatred, his smile will twist into scorn, and his spirit will finally break. This way, the guide will finally be able to feast on Liam's suffering. In any case, the guide cannot wait any longer for that tasty delicacy he's going to get served on a silver platter. The guide leaves, and the scene shifts back to the battlefield where Goz is. He declares that whoever captures Liam alive will be rewarded with double the bounty and expresses how eager he is to turn Liam into his latest toy. Goz's assistant asks if he has taken a liking to the boy, but Goz explains that he's just looking for some new entertainment, revealing that he intends to torment Liam's people and turn them into monsters as well once the war is over. Meanwhile, Liam's subordinates, who at first were skeptical of his antics, have finally started to realize that their young lord is not playing around and actually has impressive political skills, not to mention how good he is with a sword. Liam learns about the bounty placed on his head and gets eager to take the pirates' treasure, hoping they'll approach him. But even after 3 long, boring days, nothing significant happens, except at the front lines, where, according to the second-in-command, Liam's army is struggling due to the overwhelming number of pirates fighting against them. Liam is too bored to play chess or checkers and just wants to rush into the battlefield. But before he can give any orders, his communication device gets compromised, making it impossible to contact his fleet. At that moment, a large number of pirate ships appear above Liam's ship, and while everyone starts panicking, Liam remains calm, calling the enemy's plans stupid for splitting their forces and sending only a mere 500 ships to apprehend them. Amagi understands the enemy's goal, which is to break Liam's army's formation and create a real opening to attack, making it clear that these 500 ships sent by Goz are just disposable pawns. Liam's subordinate reports that the 500 ships attacking them are not pirates, but soldiers who were forced to surrender to Goz after they lost. Although it's understandable that the Empire's soldiers would switch sides and comply with the pirates to survive, Amagi still doesn't think it's a good idea to show them mercy. Since they can no longer be trusted, Liam remains reluctant, but he still takes the initiative and wipes out all 500 ships. When Goaz gets the news, he becomes impressed, but focuses on the slight disorder created in Liam's fleet, and takes this opportunity to charge directly with full force. As they push forward, Liam's fleet begins retreating, maintaining the same distance, and Goaz, thinking Liam is scared, orders his fleet to keep advancing when suddenly the ships at the front explode, revealing that the entire space had been filled with mines, hidden using magic. Goaz can't believe he fell for such a cheap trick, but regardless, he still has the numbers on his side, so he orders his fleet to keep charging through the mines. Liam learns of this, and also of the fact that the front lines of Goz's fleet consist only of Empire soldiers, meaning only the disposable pawns are being sacrificed, not the real pirates. With the pirates closing in, Liam's subordinates focus on protecting Liam's ship with all they have, putting themselves in harm's way to shield their lord. But Liam doesn't want that. He doesn't want a single person under his command to be hurt, and after making that clear to everyone, he declares that he will crush all of the enemies right here, vowing that while he still breathes, he isn't going to allow a single ship to enter his planet. Deciding to get into his mobile knight, he promotes Amagi as second in command. Amagi, with quick battle strategy simulations, prepares to take control of the war, and so Liam leaves the rest to her as she wishes him the best of luck. He cannot give up. Not at this point. Since he has decided to fight the battle by himself, he enters his ship to go and fight. Amagi goes to captain the pirate ship because of his instruction that she should launch him. She tells the knights that they should launch the remaining ships, but they are skeptical about obeying her. Why should they allow a robot to control them when they are humans? She tries to explain to them that Liam is hell-bent on going to the war front. This leaves them with no other choice than to protect him. If they don't launch and back him up, he will be alone out there and will be killed. She tells them that her loyalty isn't to the kingdom or the people in it. Her loyalty is only to Liam, and she will do anything to protect him. Hearing this makes the knights have a change of heart because they can't imagine that a doll has more loyalty than they do. They vow their lives to protect Liam and take control of all the pirates so they can fight. Amagi launches Liam's ship, named Avid. Liam flies with all the reassurance he had gotten from the guide that the fight was settled and he would have no issues. He enters the warp, hoping to meet Goaz and his pirates off guard. However, once he enters the warp, they immediately receive a notification that someone has penetrated it, and they get ready for the fight too. He enters into the midst of their ships and brings out his weapons, from his sword to his gun to his pistol. He is sure he isn't going to lose the fight. As he fights with his life, the soldiers behind him also protect him with theirs. He assumes the war will be a walkover, but will it really end that way for him? I can't help but imagine the traumatizing way Goaz would treat him if he were captured. Unfortunately for Liam, all the bullets in his gun are finished. He is shocked because he didn't consider this when he proudly came out, but he knew there was no way his bullets would kill over 30,000 fleets. He tries to withdraw to solve that, but suddenly he gets hit. He realizes that someone has gotten closer to him, and indeed, it is one of the enemies. He is glad that at least someone strong has come there to fight him. He brings out his sword and begins to fight. When he attacks, the knight realizes he isn't weak. He says Liam's swordsmanship is quite strong and asks what academy he learned from. Liam proudly announces that he learned from the way of the flesh. The knight insists he has never heard of that skill before, which gets Liam angry. How dare you not know my boss? He claims it is the best skill and says the knight isn't knowledgeable. However, the knight insists he has fought several people who learned from the best academies, and if he doesn't know the way of the flesh, then it must be fake. To show the superiority of the way of the flesh and his resolve to broadcast it, Liam hits the knight, and the knight dies. After happily killing the man, he has a change of heart. It would have been better if he had let the man survive. That way, the man could spread the gospel of the way of the flesh, and everyone would know how strong he is. He eventually resolves that he will leave a few skilled swordsmen alive, letting them survive in near-death situations, so they can proclaim his name across the world. Let's see how much this will work for him. Goes and his pirates still do not believe he is strong. They wonder how a poor noble like him can have the skills and money to purchase so much ammunition to attack them. They keep calling him poor, and this keeps getting him angry. He screams that they should stop calling him poor, because if they continue, he will feel like killing them even more. He uses the way of the flesh several times to cut through all of the knights and survive. Suddenly, he gets a notification from the left side of his ship. That part has been destroyed. He realizes his ship isn't strong enough for the way of the flesh. That isn't his priority at the moment, so he continues his fight. One of his enemies also comes to attack Avid, and he fights back. Suddenly, he starts losing the fight. The enemies are overwhelming, and since he is a one-man warrior, it is impossible for him to keep up. His knights in the ship are also scared that they cannot continue holding out. To make it worse, Amagi announces to them that their success rate has now reduced to 1.2% from 3.8%. Thankfully, Liam sees a new spaceship arriving to fight on his behalf. The rider in the spaceship is Christina, who is back from her trip, bigger, better, and stronger. Amagi also starts making plans to ensure they win the battle. She reaches out to both the 3rd and 7th weapon armies to buy more weapons from them so they can survive. Meanwhile, the battle becomes lighter with Christina's presence. She fights Goes and his armies. I wouldn't just call it a fight. It is a fight of revenge for her, considering all they had done to her. She watches and claims she doesn't want to kill them, but destroy them. She helps Liam in his war, but Liam isn't satisfied. He is the evil lord, and he should be the strongest anywhere he finds himself. He doesn't like the idea of someone else taking his glory. He immediately kits himself up with new armor. He takes armor with a punch and uses the rocket punch to break into Goz's region. Everyone looks at him in surprise. Christina looks at him in awe and exclaims that he is wonderful. I share the same sentiment with her. He is truly wonderful. Goaz shakes in his ship. He can't believe that a single warlord has cleared his entire fleet. Amagi announces in their spaceship that their success rate has increased to 83% because Liam has broken through the ship. Does this mean he will win the fight? Liam remains as strong as ever, determined to crush his enemies beneath his feet. He knows they are many, but they aren't his priority. Their numbers may be great, but they are worthless. However, he is glad he will get bounties on their heads. As he fights, Christiana looks at him in awe. She is amazed by his skills, as she admits that she has never seen someone like him before. In fact, she spends her nights praying for him and reminiscing about his image and all he has done for her. She can't imagine how she would be without him. As she is lost in thought, a knight attempts to attack her, but she joins the battle and fights back fiercely, fueled by the anger from what Goz and his crew had done to her. She fights mercilessly. Her servants, who see her fighting this way, get concerned. She isn't known to lose herself like this, and it only means she is angry. If they do not control her, she may eventually lose herself. Liam also has his driving force. He remembers the debt collectors who hounded him in his past life. He recalls how wicked they were to him, determining within himself that anyone who poses to be wicked, he will defeat them mercilessly. Amagi informs him that a fleet of knights is coming towards him. He turns to them and defeats them in one hit. The knights on his ship watch him in awe. They cannot help but admit that he is someone who should always be on their side, because if he is against you, just know you are dead. They admit that he didn't have a soft life. His parents left him with an impoverished, poor city, but he had built it into the marvelous place it is now. Yet, he is out there fighting to save his people and ensure that knights do not attack. One thing they can be sure of is the fact that even if the city gets defeated, as long as Liam is alive, he will surely return the city to greatness. Well, the city wouldn't even get destroyed in the first place. As the war continues, Liam sees a gathering of ships that looks like the headquarters. He tries to attack them, but sees there is a shield protecting them. He goes nearer and realizes it is impossible to attack. Amagi sees what he is going through and immediately deploys help to assist him in penetrating the shield from her ship. She directs all their ships to fire at the shield simultaneously so it can weaken. They set a blue ray of fire on the red shield until it scatters. After it scatters, they start shooting at the ship. A hole opens up in the ship, and Liam enters through the hole while the others keep shooting. Go's assistant informs him that their shield ship 58 has been penetrated, and he immediately commands that they put on their A game and seal off the hole. While they do that, they do not know that the person they are sealing the hole against has already found his way into their ship and is forging toward them. Goaz gets uncomfortable as he is informed by his assistant that their enemy is coming right at them. He looks at the knight Liam is wearing and sees it is the Avid type. He commands his knights to fight back, but his assistant informs him that they have lost most of their knights, and the ones left are struggling to seal the shield. Seeing that the tide has turned against them, he would rather run than become a slave, so he commands that they should leave the others and escape alone, as he will inform the leadership of what had happened. He asks the rider of his ship to quickly drive away, but the man cannot do that because their allied knights are on the way. Goaz commands that the man should shoot anyone in his way, even if it is their ship, because he doesn't want to die. Unfortunately for him, Liam gets to his ship and hits a part of it. Seeing that the ship cannot escape, he commands that they use an escape ship to survive. As he tries to run to the escape ship, Liam appears in front of him. He tells him that it is over, and even burns the escape ship. He brags that he has come for the treasure. After defeating Goaz, he returns outside to his ship and informs his knights that it is time to get the treasures that the guide had said were in Goaz's ship. His knights advise that forging ahead into an enemy's ship just like that could be risky, as Goaz could auto-destroy. But Liam doesn't believe that, because if Goaz wanted to destroy himself in the first place, he wouldn't have tried to escape. They enter the ship despite the warning, and his knights also ensure they do their best to protect him by asking him not to stay at the front. But he remains at the front. With his armor, he can see hidden knights around the ships, and he defeats them all. Suddenly, he comes into contact with several bandits who come out with guns. His knights protect him by asking him to stay at the back, but he refuses and stands in front. The knights are knights who had formerly worked for nobles. To them, nobles are the same as bandits, and each of them works for their selfish gains, so they would prefer to go for the one with the upper hand at the moment. They set out to fight Liam. However, they suddenly freeze, and Liam walks beside them. The knights ask Liam what he is doing, but he calls them to join him. When they wonder what he has done, he says that he had killed them. In a flash moment, they suddenly die. Liam asks his knights to follow him as he continues in his search for Goaz. Every knight that he finds on the way, he kills them without issue. At this point, Goaz has realized that he will die, so he escapes and leaves his entire crew behind. They start looking for him, and thereafter start planning to betray him. Before each of them could attempt to run, Liam kills them without issue. When Liam gets to the engine room of the pirate ship, he cannot find Goaz. However, he finds Goaz's assistant, who begs for mercy. He claims he had been used by Goaz, and he isn't actually evil. He lies that Goaz has cheated him, begging that if Liam lets him live, he will show Liam where Goaz's treasures are, although he doesn't have the power to open them. Liam looks a little bit convinced as the man comes to bow before him. His knights insist that the man was Goaz's assistant, so there is no way he could say he was merely used. Liam knows too, but he wants to see where it will end. When the man eventually says he wants to start working with Liam, Liam angrily kills him. I mean, who would work with a betrayer? The strength Liam had used throughout the entire fight had shocked the guide. Even if Liam is lucky, which is fair enough considering all he had gone through, he still shouldn't be that strong. The guide wonders if he had made a mistake by sending Yasushi to Liam, and wonders what Yasushi had taught him. He feels severe heartaches. Liam feels so much appreciation for him and has been thankful to him, and this only makes his heart hurt more. He cannot allow Liam to win that because it will make him weaker, so he thinks of what to do and decides to go out of his way to make Goaz stronger. Meanwhile, Goaz remains on the run as he considers what to do. He doesn't want to die, so he wonders if he should surrender. But that will also mean death, as he will be taken to the guild for bounty, and he will be killed there. He also thinks of giving Liam his treasures in exchange for his life, but that wouldn't be a good bargain either, since Liam will still get those treasures when he dies. He walks into the guide, who has been looking for ways to defeat Liam too. Without asking, the guide gives Goaz power. When Goaz wonders why he is strong, the guide replies that the power will help him defeat Liam. His body feels so strong. His clothes tear off, and he now has the skin of rocks. He is impenetrable. He feels strong enough to defeat Liam, and the guide also feels glad to leave, because despite the fact that he had used a power he shouldn't use, when Liam falls, he will get more powerful. While all this is unknown to Liam, he continues searching the ship for both Goes and the treasures. He suddenly sees a familiar dog. He asks his knights if they can also see it, but they say no, so he assumes he is remembering the dog he had in his previous life. That dog was the only thing that stayed with him when everything else was taken from him, and he is quite appreciative. He continues walking around and he finds the gold box that had fallen from Goze's hand. He picks it excitedly, as he is known for his love for gold, and he immediately declares that the gold now belongs to him. He suddenly sees something around him, and he walks in the direction of what he had seen. He sees a blocked end at the end of the road, and his knights tell him that it is a dead end. He remains suspicious of the place and thinks something is there, so he tells them to break down the wall. When they break it, he enters and sees his intuition is right. There are different antiques there, and his knights think they will make good money. But he isn't of the same opinion. He feels it may be fake, the same way his parents had several of such antiques in their home, and it was all fake. However, as he looks further, he sees a katana. He carries it and uses it. He sees how fast and swift it is and falls in love with it, so he takes it. His knight advises him that it is an antique that should be kept, but what is the worth of a sword that isn't used in wars? It all goes well for Liam until he gets a call that his knights have encountered a monster. Goaz is fighting against his knights, and they are using all their weapons against him to no avail. When their guns don't work, they move to using a blaster, but it doesn't work either. He screams that he only wants the boy who attacked him, and the knights contact Liam, begging him not to come. But guess what? Our Liam will surely come. He jumps into the scene and tries to slash Goze's back with his own sword, but the sword doesn't penetrate. He realizes Goaz has truly become a rock. Goze turns to him, assuming that he has the upper hand at the moment. However, Liam changes the sword and uses the sword he found in the treasure room. With this sword, he cuts off Goze's hand. Goaz recognizes the sword as his own and screams to get back his sword, but Liam hits him again and cuts off his second hand. Goze refuses to give up. He tries to attack Liam, but Liam jumps and dodges the attack, then jumps behind Goze and cuts off his legs. While on the floor, Goze realizes he has no means of winning. When he hears the knight call Liam's name, he is shocked that it is the noble of that small village who has defeated him. He starts begging for his life, saying that he has several treasures that are worth more than the bounty on his head, and he will give Liam if Liam lets him go. Liam refuses, reminding him that all the treasures he has at that point now belong to him, so he should just give him the pleasure of taking him as bounty. Goze feels embarrassed again and stands to fight Liam, but Liam cuts off his second leg. Seeing he has no other option, he starts begging to work for Liam, claiming he has strength and will be useful. Liam doesn't care about that and just wants to take him as bounty. His knight asks him if he wants to take Goze alive, and he says yes, because he feels he will earn more bounty if he takes him alive. However, his knight reveals that for criminals like Goaz, you earn the same whether dead or alive, and since Goaz had killed several of their people, it will be fairer if they get their revenge by killing him. Liam doesn't even think twice before he slashes his sword into Goze's body and kills him. He returns to his ship, asks his knights to settle and clean up other issues, while Amagi welcomes him, and he is glad to be back with her. I really wonder how the guide feels at the moment, knowing that he had even used his trump card, and he is still losing. Going back to Liam's planet, the cities are blooming with the threats defeated. The citizens are happy, including the people at the bar, who take back the comments they made 2 decades ago when Liam became the new count of this place as just a 5-year-old. Now they think that there couldn't have been a better person than Liam to rule this place, and so they express their gratitude towards the young man they probably will never get to see. Speaking of the evil lord, he's currently in his mansion, where a merchant from Henfrey Company has come to offer some trades. The merchant wishes to buy the treasures Liam obtained from the pirates after defeating them, and hearing the prices, Liam turns to Amagi since he's bad at math, and Amagi suggests he accept the deal as the money would help them pay off a good amount of their family's debt. Liam cannot believe he still has debts remaining, and that is so much that he cannot even pay off everything, even after selling all of the treasures he obtained from this war. The merchant asks for Liam's attention, reminding him of the time he gave him a medical device to treat people who were experimented on by Goes. Apparently, the developer of the device wants the clinical trial data for their new device. For that, Liam summons Christiana, who is now back in her true knight form. She comes there, kneels before Liam, reporting to him that she's completed all of her treatment and has been released from the clinic. She thanks Liam for once again allowing her to live as a human being. But before she can continue glazing him more, Liam stops her, stating he doesn't have any interest in her trouble, explaining that he's only summoned her because the merchant here wants to learn about the results of her medical treatment. Understanding that a bit too much, I guess. Christiana gets up and starts taking off her clothes to let the merchant have a good look at her restored body. She also subtly mentions that, as her lord, Liam can stare at her as much as he wants to. But of course, Mr. Weirdo here has zero interest in real women, so he tells her to only show the stuff to the merchant. The merchant hesitates, since he exactly isn't the one who needs to see her state. So he explains to Christiana that it's actually the developer of the medical device who requested the clinical trial report. Nias comes there upon hearing that Liam has just made a fortune from selling his goods to the merchant. She wants all of his freshly acquired capital, and so she's come here with hopes of making him buy another one of her shitty battleships. But before she can seduce her way into making Liam buy her stuff, she notices that another girl is here who's already undressed. Unable to believe that there's someone else in this world who can stoop as low as her and degrade themselves, Nias pushes Christiana away and starts unpacking herself as well. Christiana doesn't know Nias, so she becomes offended and draws her sword at Nias for acting rude towards both her and Liam. Pointing her sword at Nias's neck, she demands Nias get away from her lord, calling her a shameless B-word. Nias doesn't get scared at all, and in response, she tells Christiana to give up already, claiming that Liam only loves her body and nobody else. Someone else enters the room at that very moment, breaking the tension between the two girls, and she is Ulycia Morrisil from the Third Weapons Factory, which is far superior to Nias's factories. Ulycia goes straight to business, informing Liam about her advanced factory that has everything from micro-machine weaponry to ultra-powerful battleships. Ulycia's battleships draw Liam in instantly, so he turns to Amagi, asking her if they have the funds to buy Ulycia's battleships. Amagi, in reply, educates Liam about a formal process where a count requires the Empire's permission to purchase battleships that are almost 2 miles in size. Unfortunately for them, the Banfield family doesn't have that permission, but Liam doesn't care. He wants the ship, and he'll do anything for it. Nias desperately tries to make Liam buy hers instead, but even Christiana realizes how bad of a person Nias is, so she demands Nias get away from Liam immediately. Brian comes there, informing Liam about a letter they've received from the capital planet of the Empire. The letter congratulates Liam on defeating Goz's pirate gang, and to award him, Liam is invited to an award ceremony at the capital planet, where he will be given a Medal of Honor. Soon after, Liam heads to the capital planet along with Amagi and is staying at the palace briefly when 4 unfamiliar faces visit him. Liam has no idea who these people are, which leaves one of them upset that Liam doesn't recognize them. As Amagi reveals that the man here is Liam's father, Liam finally remembers him as the man who forced all his debts on him when he was just 5. Liam's mom is also here, along with Liam's grandfather and grandmother, and she assumes that Liam deep down still loves her because he is still holding on to Amagi, who she had given him as his 5th birthday gift. In any case, Liam's mom advises Liam to keep Amagi away for a while because the Empire doesn't like AI dolls. His grandfather also orders Liam to throw Amagi away, mocking him for needing a babysitter, even though he's now an adult. Amagi steps back before Liam's family can disrespect him even more because of her, but Liam tells her to stay by his side. He is sick of his family already, so he asks them straightforwardly what they want from him. Liam's father replies, honestly, stating that they've only come here because they want Liam to pay their bills. Liam's parents have already been getting a monthly allowance, but Liam's mother isn't satisfied with it and wants Liam to give her more money every month. Liam realizes that these blood-sucking leeches aren't his family at all, so he draws his sword, making it clear to them that the money and the territory belong to him and him only. His family leaves for now, deciding to come back later in the future when Liam's mood gets better. With them gone, Liam coldly stares into the distance and tells Amagi that she is his only family in this world. Meanwhile, the guide is getting more and more frustrated, so he influences Liam's family this time, using his powers to brainwash them into applying for an official change of family head so they can get all of Liam's assets. If Liam tries to resist, they also plan to hire assassins to get rid of him. Setting this up, the guide is pleased, and now he's certain that this is the end for Liam. However, the glowing dog who has been saving Liam all this time sees everything, and perhaps this time too, the dog will do something to protect Liam. As they discuss, Amagi walks past the corridor and sees an image of a dog coming out of the room. She feels concerned and goes closer to the door to find out what is going on. She uses her technological eyes to scan through the room to see who and what is there, and she sees Cliff and the others. Instead of knocking on the door, she eavesdrops to hear what they are saying. She overhears them asking what they will tell the Emperor when they want to change the Count, and they plan to tell him that Liam has a doll by his side and even brought one to the palace, so he doesn't deserve to be the Count. She doesn't react and walks away sadly. She sits and watches the celebration, while Cliff and his evil relatives find their way to the Emperor to do their evil deeds. The Emperor refuses to grant their offer. They are angry because they thought the Emperor would jump at it. They ask him why he is refusing, and he tells them that Liam is the Count every city needs. He has paid his debts, is improving the lives of his people, protects his assets, and recently defeated the pirate, which has earned him great honor and pride, increasing the prestige of the country as a whole. So if they were the head of the empire, would they accept removing someone like that just to bring back riffraff to the throne again? He asks what could be their reason for deciding that Liam should be removed, and they shamelessly reveal that Liam has a doll by his side and even brought the doll to the palace. He reminds them that owning a doll isn't a crime. There is no punishment for it. It is just customarily frowned upon. And when there is no law, there is no sin. So Liam cannot be punished for it. Trying to drive their point home, they remind the Emperor of the reason dolls were frowned upon in the first place and how it is seen as a rebellion against the Empire. The Emperor isn't unfamiliar with this, but Liam remaining as Count is financially profitable to the Empire, so he reinstates this to them. They promise that if they are returned to the throne, they will also make sure they pay their taxes on time and wouldn't owe. The Emperor doesn't intend to be swayed by such empty promises. He had watched them as counts and has seen how they behaved when they were the ones in that position, so he wouldn't fall for it. He refuses their offer and sends them out. After they leave, he speaks to the door, asking the person there if that is what she wants. It turns out that Amagi had met with the Emperor after the conversation she overheard to ensure that Liam's position remained secured. She enters the office and speaks. She appreciates the Emperor for not accepting Cliff's demand, but the Emperor asks her if she thinks her offer makes sense. She had promised the Emperor earlier that if he didn't accept the offer, she would use all the money they got from Goza's pirate to pay off their due taxes and ensure they no longer owed. The Emperor admits that the money was enough, but wonders if she doesn't think they could use it for something else, and if her offer was profitable to her Count. She insists and says that it is a profitable offer. If his position is secured, they could earn more. The Emperor reinstates that dolls are really stupid because even if she didn't come to him with that offer, he wouldn't have allowed Cliff back on the throne, so she didn't win anything from paying him back. Well, she doesn't care. It is a win-win for her. She returns to Liam and he sleeps on her leg. He complains to her about the several parties they have to attend. He excitedly talks about the bucket party he attended, how he had thought the party would be trash, and he was disappointed that the party made sense and he enjoyed it. She is just glad he is able to enjoy everything he has been experiencing. She had spent her time weighing the profit of being around him and the danger of leaving him, so she decides that it is time to leave. She tells him that she had served him for a long time and he is almost an adult. Indeed, the age for adulthood in that city is 50, and he is 40 already. He admits that she is right, but it still doesn't feel like a long time to him. She reveals it is about time she left him. He stands up, wears his shoes, and asks if she wants to take a break. He is fine with a break, so she can also get time for herself. However, that isn't her intention. She wants out completely. He can't believe that. He tells her she cannot leave him. He complains that everyone in his life has abandoned him, so she cannot abandon him too. She reminds him of how dolls are treated in the city and talks about how he had treated her like a human and not a doll, how he loved her and sought her opinion every time. That is enough for her, and she can't ruin him, so she has to leave. He insists she can't go, so she reminds him that he gave her 3 rules. The first rule is that she must not harm him or do anything to endanger him. She insists that, at the moment, she is a loophole in his life and a danger, so she has to step out. He reminds her of the second rule, which is that she must obey all his commands, so he commands her to stay. However, she doesn't. That rule contradicts the first rule, so she can't stay. Seeing that he can't convince her, he feels so sad. She also feels sad that she is leaving and closes her eyes in pain. He reminds her of the last rule. She admits that the rule exists, just that if it contradicts the first 2 rules, she has to obey the first rule. The third rule is that she must protect herself. She doesn't have an issue with that, as she can still protect herself while being away from him. That isn't what he is talking about. He is talking about her feelings. Does she feel like leaving him? Although she cannot have feelings like humans, she admits that when she calculated leaving him, she could feel her system overloading. It was as if she wanted to break. She doesn't want it to. She tears up as he realizes he still has a way to make her stay. He tells her that once she steps out of that door, he will drink himself to death, gamble, and lose all the money he had gotten. He would die on the street broke or get killed by the remaining pirates in revenge. If that is what she wants, then she can leave. Seeing that the danger he threatens is far greater than the danger she will pose by being around him, she decides to stay. He goes to bury himself in her chest, and she rubs his head. He reminds her that they have always been together from the beginning, but she jokingly reminds him that Brian has been with them too. He laughs that Brian isn't in that category, and they leave for home. As they enter their ship, he thinks about his life now. He can't help but appreciate the guide for this great life. The guide gets a severe heartache from the appreciation and begs that Liam stop thanking him, but Liam appreciates him repeatedly and appreciates us, the viewers, as the season ends.